Hello. So today we are going to be going over methods and the importance of using methods in your code. So a method is very important because it's a block of code that is only ran once when it is called or when it is invoked. It is important to use a method because it allows you to reuse code multiple times without having to rewrite it countless times. So they are used to perform many different actions and can also be known as functions. So let me show you some few examples of a method. So right here we have the main method, which is public static void my method. I'm sorry, not the main method, but this is my method. Um, so in here we have console writeline method was called. This is the block of code for the method. We have our curly braces, and inside we have a console writeline that is going to print out method was called. Then down here in our main method, we have public static void main, and this is where our program is going to start from. To call the my method, we're going to use this simple term right here called my method, close and open parentheses. So when the code reaches this line, it's going to come up here, call my method, and it's going to print out what is in the console. Method was called. Let me show you an example of how that works in code so you can see. Go to well, let's go to here. So we have our main method right there. So actually what I'm going to do is I'm going to just delete this and go ahead and write that in there. All right, so here we have, and I'm going to have to fix a few things because public's got to be lowercase, and then this has got to be changed as well. All right, so now here we have the main method like I was showing you, and then it calls my method right here, and then we come up here to the top and we print out method was called, which is going to be what the outcome is going to show us. There it is. Method was called. Simple as that. Let's go back to our slide. You can call a method as many times as you want. So in this example, we have my method, my method, my method. So it's going to print out method was called 3 times. So we can call it multiple times throughout our code anytime we need this particular method, which is why it's very important to use methods as a way to reuse code so you don't have to rewrite the same code over and over again. Let's go to parameters and arguments. So an argument is what is being passed through a method as shown right here. So in this case, we have public static void main, our main method, and then we have my method. That's not supposed to be there. We have my method, and then inside the parentheses, we have an integer saying 25. So we go over to my method. Just said that there for a reason. I'll put that back. All right, so we're going to go over to my method 2, and it has a parameter right here called int age. So 25 is going to be passed into that argument or that parameter age, and then it's going to be used down here. My age is 25. Over here, we're using a string. We're outputting John, the name John, and over here it's going to pass string name. Console writeline, my name is John. Let me show you how that works as well. All right, so fix this up as well. Fix that. And fix that. That should be name. because we want to pass the parameter over. All right. So now over here, we can go ahead and call those methods, but we have to pass in a string argument. So if we're going to pass in to my method, we're going to say, let's pass in a string argument, and we'll just say the name John. So now when we call this method, my method, John is being passed into the variable name, which is of type string, and then it's going to print out my name is the value of name, which is John. And as you can see here, that's exactly what we're going to get. My name is John. So now look what happens if we go ahead and put an int here. This is going to generate a compiler error, indicating that we can't pass a string into an int variable because this is a string and this is an integer. So that's going to throw a compiler error, which tells us string cannot be converted to an int. So it has to be a string if we're passing a string. You can also create a variable and pass variables arguments like string string name equals John, and then we can just pass name in here, and that will work the same way. Oops, and I spelled it wrong. And that's going to work the exact same way. So you can pass in a variable or whatever you want as long as the data types match and it's allowed. So that's passing a string. Now let's say we want to call my method 2. Now it's generating an error saying that it does not take, there's no argument given that corresponds to the required formal parameter age. So, because we have age in here, so we have to have an argument in here in order for it to be valid. And then that will print out my age is 25. And you can also do the same thing. You can create a variable, which will also, you can do that with any type of data type, int, string, bool, double, whatever it has to be, a warning. So anyway, so yeah, method was called my age is 25. Why didn't it call, oh, because it called this one. So in here, because we have two different methods, so let's go ahead and just do that. Now, when we run it again, it will call my name is David. And there it is. My name is David. All right, so let's go back to the code, and I'm going to show you a couple examples of multiple parameters. So you can also pass in multiple parameters. You can have a string name and int age, and then you can put, in console write line name is age or whatnot. You can have as many parameters as you want to pass into the method. And then if you're passing the arguments, you would have a string and you separate each argument by a comma. So we're going to pass John, that's going to be passed into name, and then 35 into age, and then it'll print out John is 35. As that would be the outcome of the code. So let's go ahead and actually, I'm going to go ahead and show you that over here back on the code. So once we go back over here, if I were to add an int in here, we can do that and do int age. And we can make that a default value as well. Age equals 35. And then we can go like, use a plus sign to separate the strings. And then age. So it's going to print, my name is David, I am 25. And we use a space in here, so we have spaces in between each one. And then that's what it prints out. And those are using multiple parameters. And then since they are default parameters, you can also pass in whatever parameters you want to change the value of the parameters if you choose to do it that way as well. All right, so that's using default parameters and multiple parameters. All right, there are such thing as return values. So return values gives you the ability to return a value back to the calling method, as shown below. So let's go back to the code and I can show you how that actually works. So let's say we wanted to return a string. So since it's asking, so that's going to generate an error because we have to return a string. So what we can do to return a string, we can do string equals, or string, my name equals my method. So we're going to pass the string variable, whichever we return in this method is going to be passed into my name. And I'm going to show you how that works here. So let's create another. We're going to go ahead and just get rid of this. And then we can just do that. So since this right here is a string, it's going to return this string back to the calling method, and then it's going to put it in my name. And then we can go like console write line and then put my name in there. And then it will print out this return value. And there you have it. So that's a returning value. You can also return an integer as well. You can return any type of value that you wish. Return age, but we have to change this. Void means we are not returning anything. So since we are returning an integer, we have to make the method an integer. In this case, this will return an integer, and then we can apply it in right here. So now method 2 will apply that return age into age, which would be 25. And then we can console write line that out as well. Oops, age. Console write line that out as well, and then it will print out the value of age. There you have it, 25, value of age. All right, back to our slide, and last slide. Also, I do want to point out that you can also return arithmetic type values. So you can also do like return y plus x, or return like 25 plus 35, or whatever it may be. You can do any type of mathematical equations that you can return as well. Method overloading. So method overloading allows you to have multiple methods with the same name as here. The only difference is the method is going to have different parameter types or a different number of parameters listed in the method. That's how the program will know which method to call. So if you want to have them two of the same name, you got to make sure that each method is going to have a different parameter type, or the list is going to be different to indicate which ones to call. So this is 3 different methods, all the same name. This one returns an int, this one returns a float, and then this one has 2 doubles in here. So this indicates which one can be called by the parameter list. Like down here, we have my method, the first one, we're going to pass 3 in there, so it knows to call this one, the top one. And then 1 and 3, we're going to separate by 1.3. So that's going to call the float, return x plus 5.2. And then we're going to do over here a double and double. So we have 2.5 and 2.5 separated by commas. And that's some of the basics on methods and working with methods in your code. Any questions, please feel free to comment below, and good luck. Thank you.